I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Reverend Duvall,
Present.
Dr. McBride,
Here.
Jeff Smith, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith, Mary Taylor,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt,
Here.
Ms. Lee, Dr. Garza,
Dr. Garza will not be present.
Mr. Smith, Jeff Smith, it looks like he's here, but he's,
Jeff Smith?
I am here. Can you hear me?
now I can.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Okay, so I don't have Dr. Garza or Ms. Lee.
Okay. We'd like to, according to the agenda, review the language. This is item number, I'm sorry, the approval of July 24th, 2020 meeting minutes. Thank you, Penny, for sending the revisions back that were in yellow. Did everybody on the board get to review the minutes? I'd like to make a motion to approve the July 24th, 2020 minutes.
Second, Taylor.
Okay, Reverend Duvall,
Yes.
Dr. McBride,
Yes.
Mr. Smith, Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
and Ms. Taylor.
Yes. Phil, before we go forward, for the sake of everybody who might be listening or watching, can we identify all the people who are visiting, all the people who are around the table in the conference room, please?
Yes, please introduce yourself.
Yes, Darby Howard, attorney in the room.
Valerie Nelson, COO for Healthcare Services.
Raymond Barnes, IT manager.
And Penny Martin, office manager.
Thank you. I'd like now Jeff Smith, if you would, could you review the language from August 28th, 2020 meeting regarding the outside independent investigation that we discussed in that meeting? Jeff?
Reverend, I am looking for the exact language. Is that in? Yeah, I am looking for the exact language.
Okay. Can you recall the language as we discussed? You made the motion. Can you review the language that you used? Maybe not in specificity, but kind of give a summary of what the discussion was about an independent investigation.
Yes. As a general matter, we urged the county executive to appoint a third party with no relationship to county government and no relationship to the current jail, obviously, to come in and do an independent review, both of, and then we sent a formal letter regarding the scope of that investigation. Urging the county executive not to limit such an investigation to recent actions leading to the resignation of Director Benasco, but also to cover a broader scope of incidents that have been relayed both privately to advisory board members and in some cases as open letters.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Now, Mary, if it's all possible, could you start to give us the introduction of the scope of the audit
Sure.
that we're requesting?
Maybe some, let me think here. Jeff just said some of the things I was going to say, but before we present the document, some preliminary comments might help the community understand the context and reasoning behind our recommendations. A combination of written and verbal testimonials were sent to the county council, to the Justice Service Advisory Board, and to individual members of the board. In addition, we called on our own experience over the last year as a board, and because we represent the county community, we decided to include a broad list of categories. There was certainly discussion about this, but the categories are represented by testimonials or petitions sent to us, the written and verbal. And so, and many of the testimonials and the written documents are detailed and often at odds with each other, which really form the basis for our request for an outside investigation. The board believed it would be difficult to get to the truth without outside help. There were allegations about, oops, and I don't know who might mute. There were allegations about individuals and allegations of toxic culture. Within those descriptions were concerns about all of the categories we offer here in our letter to Dr. Page. While it's unlikely, we understand that any investigation, no matter how comprehensive or thorough, could cover all these areas. To do justice to our own board experience and to do justice to all the people whose statements we have received, we offered the letter that we're going to present this morning, last Friday, as requested by the county executive. Want me to proceed, or does someone else want to read the letter? Or I'll be happy to move forward unless there are questions about my introduction.
Let's entertain if there's any questions about your introduction, and if not, please proceed.
Any questions from anyone so far? Okay, so I'm just going to read to Dr. Sam Page, St. Louis County Executive, also to the Honorable Lisa Clancy, Chair, St. Louis County Council, and the St. Louis County Council members from the St. Louis County Justice Services Advisory Board, dated September 4th, 2020. Subject: call for an external independent investigation of the St. Louis County Jail. Scope of investigation. This advisory board was reinstituted by the county executive and county council in June of 2019 after a series of deaths at the St. Louis County Jail. As you all are well aware, there has been significant turmoil at the St. Louis County Jail for at least the past 2 years, including most recently the resignation of the director after only 9 months in his position. While significant progress has been made in corrections medicine at the jail, there are very troubling concerns with the Department of Justice Services. As you know, a letter was presented to the St. Louis County Council signed by 55 employees of the jail, many of whom are senior leaders within the jail and served under the previous jail leadership. The director resigned his position the following day. In addition to this letter, the advisory board received written and verbal testimonials from other employees within Justice Services detailing a toxic culture that has allegedly existed for years prior to the arrival of the most recent director and implicating senior leaders as well as others. Of concern is that all of the persons mentioned in subsequent testimonials detailing the subculture are signatories on the letter presented to the St. Louis County Council. Because of the concerning allegations regarding the St. Louis County Department of Justice Services, the Justice Service Advisory Board strongly recommends an immediate and wide-ranging investigation by an experienced investigative body outside of St. Louis County. Any form of investigation will require objectivity as a required component, as well as explicit authority and a guarantee of transparency upon completion. In a letter to the Justice Service Advisory Board dated August 27th, the county executive also calls for an outside independent review of the treatment of people in the county's custody at the Justice Center. And to that end, he says, I would appreciate this board's advice concerning the scope of that review and any matters which you believe would be appropriate to highlight in it. Speaking to the scope of the investigation, the Justice Service Advisory Board recommends that the investigation should include, number 1, toxic culture allegations. Number 2, internal process for concerns and complaints. Number 3, external process for concerns, complaints. Number 4, internal affairs. Number 5, inmate deaths for the last 5 years. Number 6, most recent director allegations and reforms. Number 7, financial operations. Number 8, healthcare. Number 9, personnel. Number 10, integrity of all reports. Number 11, county counselor's office and justice services. And then we have a category which we have not detailed in turn, labeled suggested interviews. And that's the end of the letter, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mary. Dr. McBride, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Reverend Duvall, and thank you, Mary, for your excellent introduction and summary. It's a great summary of where we've been, and the letter is a very good summary of the position and of the board, at least from my perspective. I, as you mentioned, the call for us scope of an outside independent investigation, as Jeff mentioned, came from this board, and then the county executive also called for us to give him advice about the scope of that investigation. So this letter clearly answers that question, and also details some of the conflicting reports that we've received. So I think it's a pretty clear statement of the position of this board, and I think that we, I appreciate that you've read it word for word into the record. And so I don't know what our next move on that is, but if there's a motion that we accept the letter, or we've read it into the record at least. So I'm fully in support of this letter. That's what I would state.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith, Jeff, do you have any comments?
Just that I appreciate the work of all the board members whose thoughts and time went into this over the last couple of weeks, and to you as well, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you, board members. I think just real brief comments. Mary and I had a conversation yesterday, and I think that it's necessary for us to maybe review those comments. This is not a witch hunt. This is not personal. We don't have an agenda. Clearly, our objectives are to make the jail or improve the jail. So it's unfortunate that there are some individuals that feel that this is some personal witch hunt, which is not. It's been very thoughtful considerations with all the various information that we take the information in, and we don't value it as fact. They are allegations. They have to be presented as allegations, and it should be noted that that language is in the scope. So we have not made a decision one way or the other. We're doing the best we can to cooperate, and we look forward to working with the county counselor's office, the county executive's office, and all those involved in this request for the scope of the audit. If I could, I'd like to go to item number 5, the safety concerns of Department of Justice staff and personnel. It is still being reported by individuals that feel threatened in their workplace, that feel like they're being harassed, and they feel like they're not safe. This leads to a very serious conversation that I asked that the interim director, Mr. Darby Howard, take serious and to continue to keep your staff tight and facilitate, not accusing or alleging that you have not, but please pay close attention as these tempers are either still flaring or hard feelings are still circulating in the jail. It is imperative that employees are protected and that possibly, I know Mary and I plan, Beth, we appreciate you being on the call, that we're going to have to start notifying. We can't hold back on complaints of safety and turn it into some political football. So it should be understood that safety is paramount and that employees feel protected and they're safe in their workplace and that it be handled in a timely manner. So with that said, that's all I needed to discuss on that. I don't know if any other board member has a comment on the safety and concerns of the staff and personnel.
Reverend Duval,
Yes, please.
just as the scope document and our work on that gave us some structure in order to move forward with the county executive, I think our response to concerns about safety, I appreciate some structure around that as well. And so I know that when some people felt that's not for us to handle. When we receive that information, though, it feels like powerful information to me that I can't hold on my own. So I have told the county counselor's office, and I have told you that, when I hear about people not feeling safe, these aren't allegations of not feeling safe. People either feel safe or they don't feel safe. And I know that some of them, and I encourage them to take formal steps to report any actions or feelings of intimidation or lack of safety, and so that I can offload that and put that in a process that really is set up already to investigate that. So with that said, I would just encourage all of us, if we do hear further comments, to encourage people to follow both the internal reporting mechanism, but also if they feel that their personal safety is in jeopardy, that they should do what they have been doing, which is calling the police.
Thank you. So in closing, some of the steps forward, we will continue to work with the county counsel's office, the subcommittee on justice affairs. We'll continue to cooperate as often and as much as we're asked to continue to keep it in front of our political and elected officials. I plan, Mary, as a board, Jeff, Dr. McBride, all of us encourage one another to stay vigilant, stay focused, and continue to do what we do. And that is agree to disagree on those tough things, but still move this forward. It's a healthy debate, healthy discussion, but a very meaningful one. I see no reason to go into closed session. So at this time, I guess, are there any visitor remarks or statements that were brought in, Penny?
Have one that I can read.
Okay, please do.
To the Justice Services Advisory Board from 103 Justice Services staff. The members of the Department of Justice Services have recently viewed the completely fabricated statements presented to the Justice Services Advisory Board. There have been no discussions of a blue flu, and we are deeply offended by the notion that the jail is in complete chaos. We have continued to perform our job to the best of our ability throughout this tumultuous time, much of which has been created by former Director Manasco and his clique. While change is necessary, we as a department were not willing to sacrifice our dignity and pride to an individual who practiced the same behavior he claimed to condemn. Acts of favoritism, bullying, shaming, and personal attacks were blatant and were allowed to go unchecked. Reporting of this behavior fell on deaf ears and were met with instant retaliation. While Mr. Badasco has gone, we are now dealing with this faction that are still attempting to tear this department apart. We need to focus on communication and cooperation. Through all the criticism being published in the press, there have been no solutions presented, only grandstanding and inflammatory remarks that are completely unfounded and unsubstantiated. More importantly, that are being presented by individuals who have not communicated with anyone other than those who support their personal agendas. Our current administration has dealt with years of staffing issues, budget issues, cultural change, and of course the problems of any major jail in the country. When major change was needed, they recognized and embraced it, but when it began to jeopardize the safety and the integrity of the facility, they banded together to lead us through it. With a renewed sense of purpose and with an obvious sense of urgency, they have begun the rebuilding process, already emphasizing communication among staff and outside influences to help lead this facility to a safer, secure, and certain future. We as a department have recognized that change is necessary and will embrace all those changes that benefit the facility. After enduring the troubles of the last few months, we are now more than ever committed to that change. We, along with the help and cooperation of all interested parties, can lead us into a better future, not only for the individuals we are charged with caring for, but for staff and the community. And then there's signatures that go along with it, the 103 signatures.
Thank you. We'll possibly ask you, Penny, to scan that and send it to the board members, please.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. I was going to request that. Could I know we don't usually respond to public comments, but I thank everyone for sending us testimonials. And I just want to clear up one thing about the board so that we are, just as we don't see the people who work at the Justice Center as one body, all thinking one thing. The Justice Service, no one on the Justice Service Advisory Board said that the jail was in chaos, nor did anyone on the Justice Service Advisory Board talk about a blue flu. So I just want to make that clear, that we have tried not to characterize things that are going on there, and we didn't make those statements. And I say that especially because although we're talking about all the problems, I am perfectly aware that there are many people of the hundreds who work there, who are doing a difficult job and are doing it to the very best of their ability and with all the greatest intentions. And so I don't want to forget to thank them every time we meet for continuing to come to work and doing their jobs every day.
Thank you. Director Darby, did I see you raise your hand, sir?
Yes, sir, I do like to make a comment.
Yes, please.
I just want to reinform the board that, St. Louis County is zero tolerance for any workplace of any kind. And we brought to our attention, we take immediate action for any complaint by looking into it and also talking to the person. It is still, the process is an ongoing investigation centered around personnel matters. Both individuals' allegations have been looked into, action has been taken and assisting both parties. Also, there's on another side of it, I have the other staff members regarding the letter are also asking for assistance as far as in-play assistance program, EAP program, and we've allowed them to do so. So just want to let the board know that any concerns staff are having personnel-wise, I take immediate action with it. And also want to let the board know it is my tender regret and is the best interest of the Department of Justice Services and its employees, the inmate population, and most of all the community, that I select my request to step down as interim director. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to serve in this capacity, even though for a short time. I found that my appointment became a major distraction that has brought on serious concerns I have for the safety and security of staff, inmates, and the public. The moratorium for all personnel action that has been put in place since my appointment, in my opinion, could possibly cause serious implications for everyone who works as well as those housed inside the Justice Center. For example, There are 15 new corrections officers scheduled to start work next week. With no personnel action approved to allow them to start, the needed departments are greatly impacted, especially with staff shortages already this year. Resignation of the training officer, our current training officer. This position is critical to any correctional agency and must be filled within the next week. If not, the outgoing training officer will not be given an opportunity to the department to train her replacement. To allow this to happen would not be beneficial and will have impact on the future training and development of new recruits. Resignation of our maintenance officer. Not immediately having person in place will greatly impact our COVID cleaning protocol developed by myself and Ms. Valerie Nelson. This has proven to be successful in mitigating the spread of COVID throughout the facility. These are only a few of the major concerns where decisions must be made to ensure the safety of staff and the inmate population. There are other issues pending, such as investigations, discipline, food service complaint concerns, and staff grievances that are starting to fester and may lead to serious liabilities for St. Louis County government and the community. There are also issues of staff requesting changes in their schedule and shifts due to COVID and virtual schooling being in place on hold for their children. These are and should be the primary focus of leadership staff. Serving this capacity, but yet not being entrusted to carry out the responsibilities of such is frustrating and discouraging. Regardless of the position, I hold my focus and will continue to be the best interest of the department, the operation, staff, inmates in the community, and never personal accolades, status, or titles. Whoever is placed in this position on an active or permanent basis, I will support them 100%, as I have for previous directors, to include Mr. Robert Asco, Lieutenant Colonel Troy Doyle, Ms. Julia Murphy, and even prior directors throughout my career as a respected St. Louis County employee with DJS. With my reputation, integrity in question, I cannot sit idle and allow the hard work of every employee become diminished by an unfortunate set of circumstances that could have been avoided. I hope that the county executive moves forward with the independent and unbiased investigation, after which I hope the department will be allowed to move forward and continue with the business at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darby. Thank you for your continued service, and we look forward to still working with you currently and in the future. Are there any?
One other thing to let the board know that there was a suggestion that I was working on, but I do think the board is a great asset to the department. And there were some things that I had some ideas I'm going to definitely present to whoever's going to sit in this position, even wherever I sit in this jail. To have you guys to come in and be part of different processes that I think as far as our transparency of the jail. I would love to see you guys be part of our hearing committees with the inmate population. I would love to have you guys be part of our use of force evaluations when it comes to inmate force, to review those and give us recommendations. I would love to have you guys be part of our interview board to give us recommendations. And these ideas I will definitely put forth to the person that sits in the interim or permanent director's position. Thank you.
Is it possible, Mr. Darby, those lists that you look forward to sharing, is there some way you can communicate that to us so we can make sure we capture all those things you just mentioned so we can follow up if that's possible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I apologize, Valerie. Because of the special meeting, we did not allocate time for you, and we appreciate the emails that you gave us the update. Is there anything you'd like to share with us while we have this time?
I would take a minute to reiterate the incredible partnership that has occurred over the last 6 to 7 months for COVID specifically. It has been tried and true of the brainstorming and the conversations and the planning that has happened across the facility for both of our departments. And I am thankful that we have strengthened the partnership to be able to make these hard decisions and carry out the operations. So far, it's been successful, and we're going to keep doing that as much as it takes.
Okay, thank you. Any closing comments before we reconvene on our normally regular scheduled meeting. Any closing comments from the board?
Yeah, Reverend Duval.
Yes.
Just very quickly, I want to also thank Darby Howard for his service, and thank you for that heartfelt comment. And also thank you to Valerie Nelson and the health services staff. As I said many times, as you know, in the emails, the protocols and policies you've put in place and the testing are frankly deserve a lot of attention for how well they're working. You know, I think it's fairly remarkable. We've had over 2,000 tests that have been done in the jail, and a fairly small number. I think the last number I saw was something like 24 positive tests, but all those came from outside. They're not from, there's no community spread inside jail, which is rather remarkable and speaks to the protocols that you put in place, and that all the staff have something to be proud of, actually. And as we know from around the country, prison outbreaks of COVID are happening, but they're not happening in our St. Louis County Jail. And I think the hard work that you all put in place to make sure that didn't happen, knock on wood, is still is something to be proud of. And health and correction staff have a lot to be proud of there. So I applaud you for your hard work. Thank you.
Okay, want to thank everybody for their participation. Make note for our regular scheduled meeting on September 25th at 9 a.m. For our next scheduled meeting. Thank you for everybody's time, and be safe, be well.
Thank you, Reverend.
You're welcome. Take care.